let's get started. Right now I have some water boiling on the stove because what we're going to do is we're going to take these plantains that I have and we're going to skin them and we're going to boil them. And then once they're boiled, then we'll mash them all up into an awesome mash that we can have. Usually I eat it for breakfast, but I'll talk more about that later. So where we want to start today, or tonight, is with the plantains, picking out the right plantains. So first of all, most grocery stores in the U.S., most normal American white grocery stores, if you go and look for plantains, most of the time what you're going to get are overripe plantains. They'll be yellow and kind of brown on the edges, and that's not what you want. So I go to a nice Spanish market that we have here in Salt Lake City, and they have tons and tons of really great green plantains. This one is even actually just kind of a little, you can tell, I don't know if you can see too well on the camera, but even this one has kind of a yellow sheen to it, which is just a little more yellow than I like. But like for instance, this one actually is really dark green, and this is going to make a really good plantain. Now there are lots of different ways you can eat plantains, and you can eat ripe plantains if you cook them the right way. I mean, they have a very nice sweet flavor to them. Sometimes if you can fry them the right way, they make kind of a nice dessert or a kind of a nice sweet side dish to go with some type of dinner or something like that. So, but these we're going to make some nice, a nice savory mash with these. So what you want to do in order to prepare these, in order to boil them, is you have to skin them. So just take a regular knife, and what you want to do is cut the ends off, just like that. So you have kind of something like that, and then what you want to do is just go ahead and you just kind of start from one end and go down to the other, and you just cut the skin off. Now on a unripe plantain like these skins are going to be pretty tough. You know, you're used to bananas and things with a really thin skin, and you just peel it right off. And on ripe plantains, sometimes you can do that. But on these nice savory plantains, you just have to kind of cut it off. And you don't really have to worry about what it's going to look like. It doesn't have to be pretty because you're going to boil it and you're going to mash it up anyway. So let's see. I can cut this up here real quick. Actually here, when you get done, it should look something kind of like this. Okay, it's not super pretty, but it'll do. Then you want to cut it up into some nice pieces about that size. That'll boil up nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and finish skinning these plantains. I'm going to show them, put them in the water, and then we'll show you how to mash them. Okay. So now the plantains have been boiling for about 25 minutes. So I just came to check in and see how we're doing. So if you take one of these out, now what you want to look for in the boil is, first of all, they're going to look kind of yellow. They're going to turn yellow, which is perfectly fine. That's what you want them to do. And to see if they're done, what you want to make sure is that they're kind of translucent on the outside. And this one is still pretty yellow looking. But you can test it with a fork. You stick it in. Now this one's pretty soft, but it's still sticking together pretty well. What you really want to get to the point is that when you can stick in and it'll kind of fall apart. So these aren't quite ready yet, but we'll come back. Let's see, we'll give it another 10 minutes or so, and then they should be ready to go. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes. We're going to check on these again. Let's pull one out here and check it with a fork. And that basically just falls right apart. So these are ready to go. I'm going to turn off the heat, and we're going to get ready to mash. So here we are at the last stage. I have a bowl of steaming boiled plantains here, and now we're ready to mash. But we can't just mash these plantains by themselves. We need to add some liquid back in so we get a nice even mash. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to grab some of the water that we used to boil the plantains in, and I'm going to pour some of this back in to the plantain. Not a whole lot, that's maybe a little too much, but it's fine. I'm going to dump a little bit of this out actually. Okay. And then from there, you just grab a normal mash. Now if you're just doing a couple of plantains, you could do a fork in a small bowl. Since I have like almost 2 pounds here, I can just take this big masher and just mash these plantains up. And if you've boiled them the right amount of time, if they're nice and translucent and they're falling apart, it really shouldn't be very hard at all. In fact, I think it's probably, for the most part, it's going to be easier than doing like a mashed potatoes that you would do at Thanksgiving. So, now I have some water in here, so it's mashing up nicely. But another thing you want to add, I'll usually add some oil. Now this is avocado oil. Nice and healthy. So, and most of you just kind of add this to taste. This is just to kind of make it a little, not as harsh with just water, so just make it a little smoother. The only other thing you really need to add at this point is some salt. So I have some kosher salt here. And again, you're just basically adding to taste. Now I have a lot of plantains here, so that was a lot of salt. But you just kind of mash it up. Mix it up, and then I'll just kind of taste some here. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. It's a good plantain. So I'm going to mash a little longer here to get a nice consistent mash. But then what I'll do normally is I'll just put this in the fridge overnight, and then throughout the week I'll grab a little bit every morning for breakfast, and I'll fry a couple eggs and throw it on top of the plantains. Little hot sauce. It's fantastic. You get the protein from the eggs, some carbohydrates, and some energy from the plantains. It's really satisfying. It keeps me going till lunch at least. So anyway, that's making mashed plantains, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.